Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Stay. This is Coloring Bliss, and I love Prismacolor. And I want to ask you a question. Did you know that there are 6 different types of color pencils in the Prismacolor color pencil lineup? We're going to talk about all 6 of them today. We're going to talk about whether you even need any of them or just one line of the 6. We're going to talk about what makes each of them different, and we're going to talk about why I love Prismacolor so much. So I'm excited to get started, but before we do, I have a massive announcement to make, and I'm so excited to tell you all about it. I brought Steve in for this part.
Hello everyone.
The reason I wanted him in here is because this whole giveaway that I'm about to announce, probably 80% of the idea was his. So you can say thank you to him in the comments, because we have the ultimate Prismacolor Color Pencil giveaway to announce. It starts today, February 9th, 2022, and you have until March 2nd, 2022 to get your entries in. There's links in the video description. Let me show you what one of you is going to win. This is massive. Start out with the smallest thing. A pack of colorless blender pencils. We're going to give someone also a set of the Prismacolor Premier Col-Erase pencils. Look at the new art they have. Ooh. Next up, an entire set of the Prismacolor water-soluble watercolor color pencils. New art on that one too. Oh, it's so cool. Now we're not done. We're going to give you an entire set of the Verithin. This is the complete set of the Prismacolor Premier Verithin pencils. And I'm going to tell you more about all these products here in just a minute. Next up, you get the Scholars, the whole set of Scholars right here, Prismacolor Scholar Pencils. And it would not be complete without this. It's the Prismacolor full set of the Premier Pencils. Ain't she a beaut? Look at that. Now, we can't just give you all of these pencils and not give you a way to organize it. A beautiful case that will hold all the pencils. We did the math to make sure that this case would hold them all, so you can put them in here. Yeah, and a few extra. And we don't want to leave you without a way to organize and understand how to use your Prismacolor pencils. This is specific to the Prismacolor Premier, but it's going to help you with all of them. So you get all of it. And that's all worth how much, Steve?
$271.
$271. We are not sponsored. We bought all of this for one of you. Please get your entries in. I'm so excited that one of you get to have the full set of every set of color pencils offered by Prismacolor. All right, now before I start explaining how all these different 6 kinds of color pencils work in the Prismacolor world, we have some free things for all of you that you can come follow the link in the video description. Let me show you the first one. We're still celebrating Valentine's around here. Have you colored something for Valentine's yet? If you haven't, follow the link, and this one is free for everyone for a limited time. Plus there's a ton of other Valentine coloring pages there waiting for you. Now we also have some new ones that go into our premium library, which is for our paid members. Let's see, this is the first one up. This is adorable. You can cut them up and use them as cards. That's so cool. This is the first time I'm seeing it. This was drawn by one of our Coloring Bliss artists. What's her name again?
Anastasia.
Anastasia was the one that did this one, and she did the next one too, right?
Yep.
Okay, and this one, oh, this one's adorable. I want to color this one. Chocolate covered strawberries and all kinds of goodies. Well, thank you, Anastasia, for drawing such beautiful things. Now we also have some free resources for you, and that goes along with what we're going to be talking about here today in this video. Steve and I have created a swatch chart for every single line of color pencils that Prismacolor offers.
Yep.
These are free. Come and get them. They're going to help you organize your pencils into color groups as far as based on the color wheel. Steve and I have worked really hard to get these all ready for you. So these are the Col-Erase right here, the watercolor pencils, the Verithin pencils, the Scholar pencils, and we already have some amazing resources ready for you for the Prismacolor Premier pencils as well. So looking at all these swatch charts brings up a question. What's the difference between all these? Do I need to collect them all? Let's talk about Prismacolor pencils. Do you want a shake? Good girl. Here's your treat. I'm going to take you through all 6 kinds of color pencils, and we're going to talk about their properties, who they're for, the number of pencils available, whether they're open stock, and the cost. And we'll do a little bit of swatching, not a lot, because we're here more to do a comparison and talk about the Prismacolor color pencil family and how they relate to each other. In fact, right here in my little tray, I've pulled out 2 pencils from every set, an orange and a violet, and we're going to do a little as we go along and see, do the colors match from set to set? Have they tried to do that, or are they just their own colors for every set? That's one of the questions I have. So we're going to start out with the big boys, and that's the Prismacolor Premier pencils. These are, of course, the ones that most people just covet and they want because they are so good. So I'm going to write a few notes here, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, I wrote down some information for you. So first off, I've got that they have, in general, a 3.93 millimeter core. Now, I contacted Prismacolor and asked them for their core size numbers, and I got the strangest answers, and I was promised an email with a follow-up on the core sizes and never got it. So I took matters into my own hands, and I got my digital caliper that you've seen me use in other videos, and I went through every line of color pencils and measured the best I could the core on 4 different pencils to get an average. So I took 4, right here's the Premier, measured 4, and then divided the total of all those together by 4 and got the average. So when I'm telling you what my numbers for their cores are, that's how I got it. And I'll probably have Steve put this chart for you on a blog post on our website. So if you want to look at how I did it and all the measurements, you can go there and look. Okay, so the Prismacolor Premier have a 3.93 millimeter core. That's a really good size core. They are well known for being a very soft wax. They are blendable, vibrant, and of all the pencils, the company says these are the most pigmented. So I'm going to put down the 2 colors I picked for our samples. One is the violet and the other is the orange. Every set had a violet and an orange, so that worked out really well.
Oh, that's a good way to do it.
So here are 2 colors kind of on different ends of the spectrum, so that will help us see the colors. Now, who are the Prismacolor Premiers for? Many years ago, they were very expensive. You can see right here, the full set cost is $112, which is actually, in my opinion, not bad. It's a pretty good deal. It's less than $1 per pencil for a very blendable, creamy, beautiful pencil. They are available open stock. Per pencil, it's $1.35 to get those. So it is cheaper to buy the full set. You get it for under $1 per pencil, but that's usually the case for all different sets of pencils across the board. So yeah, I love these pencils. They changed everything for me. When I started using Prismacolor Premier, I think I went from like Crayola type pencils to these. It was like a revelation to have a pencil that laid down so much pigment and was so easy to blend. So this is why I love Prismacolor, and I don't know if anybody could ever beat these pencils for me and the way that I color. So that's the Prismacolor Premier. Let's talk about the box that they come in when you get the full set. This is my box. I'm going to have Steve bring over the new box because the art has changed, but I don't want to open up the new box because that box is for one of you, so I want to keep it pristine and perfect. But you can see it's basically the same box with just new art on it, and it is an actual cardboard box. It's not a tin, but it's a nicely built box. It has a magnetic flap right here that you can open up, and then inside when you first get it, there's a whole bunch of trays with all the pencils, and I have taken them all out and they're now in protected zip-up cases, and I have a video here on YouTube of how I organize my Prismacolor Premier pencils if you're interested in that. So that's what you get get when you buy the full set of Prismacolor Premier. Let's talk about the Prismacolor Scholars now. Okay, we have kind of a story to tell with the Prismacolor Scholars. That's this package right here. As I was doing some research and looking at the package closely to see what I could learn, I found a little line that was very interesting to me. And as you probably know, all of Prismacolor's products are made in Mexico now, except for 8 pencils in this package. They're coming in from Vietnam. Huh. So it says somewhere on here, I can't remember, but it says, yeah, right there. Mexico and Vietnam, right there. So I was like, I gotta understand this. So I went through and I swatched them all, watching for where it says Mexico and Vietnam. Oh, I just happen to have one that's a Vietnam, and this one is, I believe, a Mexico. Yep, you can barely see it. So on the Prismacolor pencils, they stamp without ink where the country origin is. So this one, I don't know if you can even see it, says Vietnam right here above the word scholar. And this one, you can't really see the print on that one. It says Mexico though, right above the word scholar. So there's 8 pencils from Vietnam in this set, and those magic 8 pencils have a 4.21 millimeter core. A big core. I'll show you the ends of these pencils here in a second. All the ones coming in from Mexico have a 3.45 millimeter core. So if you look at the ends, you can totally see that the orange is bigger and the violet is smaller. So that's, I don't know why some are coming in from Vietnam. It didn't make much sense. In fact, let me show you which colors come from Vietnam and which ones are Mexico. So here's my swatch chart. Now the one that you get to download is going to look so much better than my swatch chart because everything will be pre-printed out. The names, the numbers, all here ready for you. Now the 8 pencils stamped Vietnam are these pencils here. And this brings us to another point. If you buy this pack right here, it says 60 color pencils, you're actually only getting 58 colors because they gave you 2 blacks and 2 whites, which I am really happy about the 2 whites. Black I don't use quite as much as white, but that's my art style, and maybe you go through black a lot. So down here you'll see we've got 2 whites and 2 blacks. So in total there's only 58 colors, and 8 of the pencils come from Vietnam. The black, the white, the orange, Crimson Lake, Copenhagen blue, and permanent blue. So at first I was like, well, maybe it's all the neutral colored pencils are coming in from Vietnam, but no, it's sort of all over the place. So that would be an interesting story to hear why that happened. Okay.
And we also put them in that color wheel order like you mentioned. So what they're seeing here is a little different than the order that we...
This was my first attempt at swatching them in the order that they came when I opened the package, and Steve and I went through and we fixed it so that all the colors are in the right place as far as the artist color wheel. So excited for you. Now in the Scholars, you get 1 silver, of course you get the 2 black and the white, and there's a bunch of neons in here too. Honestly, I was shook. Am I allowed to say shook? I was surprised. I hadn't colored with a Prismacolor Scholar pencil in a while, and I found the experience to be very delightful. The Prismacolor Premier are very creamy and super vibrant, and so I always kind of expect the Scholars to be, like their slow cousin or something. But you can see they're not as pigmented, and they say that right on all the information on their website. They're not as pigmented. They have a wax core just like the Prismacolor, but they've added additional harder waxes. The thinking behind that was that they wanted a pencil that was not as difficult to use. So if you drop it, it won't break as easy. If you're sharpening it and you're not being super careful, it's not going to break as easy. So it's very geared towards students, people who are learning but want to get into the Prismacolor world, start to feel how these pencils blend, and get excited about getting good enough that they can move up to the Prismacolor Premier.
What I thought was interesting is you started using these right after we did the Castle Arts.
That's right.
and you immediately are like, wow, these are quite a bit
good.
better.
So if you have a smaller budget and you want to try Prismacolor Premier, the $27 gets you the full 60 set. And they're only 45 cents a pencil, where the Prismacolor Premier come in at 75 cents per pencil when you're buying them in the full set. Now, they don't have open stock. That means you can't buy these individually, one pencil at a time. But they do have a kit. If you're a teacher or you run a church organization or something and you're looking for some pencils, they have a kit where you get a ton of pencils so that you can spread them out across a bunch of students. Really cool line. And the pencils themselves look very similar to the Prismacolor Premier. Let me show you. So in my left hand is the Prismacolor Premier, right hand are the Prismacolor Scholar. You can see, let's look at the orange as an example here, the differences between the two of them. They have different numbers. They both end in 1/8. I was trying to figure out, is there some sort of correlation between numbers, and I don't know if there is or not. I'm still learning and confused and having difficult time getting information from Prismacolor, so we'll just kind of not worry about the numbering system and focus on the actual pencils. So that's the difference between Premier and Scholar. Big price jump over here, more colors over here, a little bit of a harder core over here. So if you're heavy-handed and just learning, this might be a really good place to begin for just $27, some excellent pencils. One more item I wanted to mention is the packaging for the Scholar pencils. They've chosen a plastic packaging system, which I hate. It does its job, though. It holds the pencils together. Rose hates the sound, so I'm sorry, Miss Rose. We'll give her a treat when we're done here, so she'll know that it's over. Look at her. She's like, oh. So it goes like this, and then you can push it back and re-snap it, and it becomes a stand. So that's clever. I appreciate that, but I hate the scratchy, cutty. I've given myself paper cuts on the edge. I mean, yeah, the first thing I would do is get these out and put them in a nice case so that I could use them, organize them, and not scare Rose every time I open them. Now the Verithin pencils, and it's spelt Verithin, are a special companion pencil to the Prismacolor Premier. I believe they intended for the colors to match, and so you can work with them side by side. The Verithin pencil is exactly what the name implies. They are very thin. They're a different shaped pencil. This is a hexagon shaped pencil versus a round pencil, and they have a much smaller core. Let's take a look at the violet compared to Prismacolor Premier right here, and you can see we've got a tiny little baby core, and they do that on purpose because the idea is they used harder wax, smaller core, and if you're a type of artist who adds very fine details into their art, you can sharpen this to a needle point tip and get what you need for those tiny little details. So they say they're vibrant, they sharpen to a point, good for fine details, and they come unsharpened. So if you're the type of artist that likes to use a knife, or you have a particular way you like to sharpen pencils, that's why it's coming unsharpened. It was a pain to sit down and sharpen them all, but once they're done, I highly recommend don't use a handheld one for the first sharpening. Use either a hand crank or an electric one to get that first sharpening done. It's way faster, gets the job done, and then from then out, you can use your fine handheld sharpeners. So color-wise, I'm just looking to see if they do match the Prismacolor Premier. What do you think? Comment below. Do they match close enough that you could use them side by side? So they are marketing them towards professionals, just like the Prismacolor Premier line. They only have 36 colors total in this whole line. You can get them open stock for about $1.19 per pencil, and right now they're on sale for $19 for the full set. That makes them 53 cents per pencil. Now they come in a cardboard box. And I don't like this packaging either. So it's that type of box where you open up the back end like this, and then you slide them out like this until they pass the little mouth that you have to cut open very carefully when you first get them. And then you bend the mouth back, slide these back forward, and close that in the back, and then it stands like a stand. So that's clever. But it doesn't protect them. It's hard for me to organize them. Again, I recommend you get your pencils out of these cases and into a much better case where you can organize them and use them quickly and not fiddle with all this mess. Col-Erase. That's the next line we get to talk about. And they have recently changed their packaging to make it look more like it's part of the Prismacolor lineup. I think that's really smart, because this was confusing to me when I bought them years ago, wondering, is it really a Prismacolor? Which it is. So I like that they changed up their art. Isn't that cool art? I think it's really pretty. Okay, but this is my box here. This is what a Col-Erase pencil looks like. It has a 3.26 millimeter core. So not our biggest core, but not our smallest core either. They're hexagon shaped, and they come with an eraser on the end because they are erasable. Now, that's pretty cool. If you've ever tried to erase a Premier pencil, you know it's nearly impossible. They're supposed to be vibrant, and they're excellent for sketching. If you are an artist that likes to sketch something out first and then you come in and you color on top of it, you can sketch with these, and then the lines will sort of disappear into the art as you're working with them. That's how I see them most used when I see them by some of the artists that I follow. So let's see how the colors color out, and we got to test the erasability. So I'm going to do a heavy pressure here first, and then go to lighter pressure, and maybe we can change to that other camera view so you can watch me try to erase them. And we'll see just how erasable. You should see, I'll show you the back of this box real quick. Look at this, how they do the before and after. Let's go the other view, yeah. Look, that's the before. And do you buy that was the after? We're not dumb. We know that that was just a clean piece of paper. But let's try this now and see if I can actually erase it. So I'm going to use this one. Look at that. Now these pencils are quite old, and I'm surprised that the erasers aren't totally dried up. They're actually working. Should we go up and try to erase a Premier? Let's see if we can erase a Premier. Not as much. Definitely erased better here than it did up here, but it doesn't look like a white piece of paper. Maybe if we used a different eraser. I mean, we got lots of different erasers we could try, but we had to try the eraser that they come with, right? And there's the one I tried erasing up here with some eraser dust. Okay, so these are not as vibrant as you can tell. They don't have that much of a pop. And when I first got them, I thought, oh, I'll be able to color, and if I make a mistake, I can erase it. But you don't want to be like, guaranteed that that's going to work, because it doesn't erase 100%. But it does erase better than its friends, the Prismacolor Premiers. Now we get to talk about the watercolor. Next set, of course, is the beautiful watercolor pencils. And these have a 4.12 millimeter wax water-soluble core. Now, sometimes in the literature and the different places that sell them, they call them water-soluble, and sometimes they call them watercolor. So I don't know which is which. Now, watercolor paints are a special creature. So, like, for instance, the Albrecht Durs by Faber-Castell are a true watercolor product inside the pencil. So, I don't know. I've never been super impressed with the water solubility with these pencils. They break down really well with water, but they kind of have this milky look to them once they have dried. They came in number 12 in our big watercolor battle that we had, I don't know, it's almost It's a
I can remember.
a long time ago. So they didn't win. Albrecht Dürer Faber-Castells won. So if you want to go see that and why they didn't win, you can. But for me, if I remember right, it came down to the fact that when you did wet them and they dried back down, they just had sort of a milky look. Now, as you saw, they do have new tin art, and this one actually comes in a tin, which is really nice. And I've ended up keeping my watercolor or water-soluble pencils in this tin because of that. It's a nice tin. Now, they look very different from all their other friends here. We've got a wood pencil, and so the only way you can tell the color is to look at the tips. But that works pretty good, so you can do that. Let's look how they look. Now, like most water-soluble or watercolor pencils, they're sort of a two-for-one. You can color with them just like this, just dry and do a whole bunch of fun coloring effects with them. Or you can activate them with water, and then they will wash out and do some really fun, pretty effects. So on the list over here, I put that they're good for coloring and watercolor effects, and that they're good for everyone. There is a learning curve with this type of product. So if you try and buy these and you're using them and you get a little frustrated, it's okay. Everybody that uses them gets a little frustrated at the beginning until you learn how to use them. If you use them wet, I recommend putting them on watercolor paper, because then the effects will be way better and you'll be much happier with it. Now, there's only 36 colors in this line, so this tin right here is the full set. But there's no open stock available, which is a little surprising to me. But that's all right. They're $39 for that full set of 36, making them our most expensive pencil on this page at $1.08 per pencil when you buy the full set. We've got one more pencil to talk about. This is a Prismacolor Premier Colorless blender. Have you tried one of these before? They are amazing. What they are is a hard wax core, and I haven't measured the core on these yet, but that's okay. We won't worry about that. They are used for blending, burnishing, softening edges, brightening the color, and you can use this as a water resist. So if you're playing around with the watercolor pencils, you could go in on your watercolor paper and draw a heart with this wax pencil here, and then do your watercolor effects on top, and it should resist that color and leave the white of the paper showing through wherever you put this pencil. Now, I haven't tried that too much, but that's what they claim on their literature that you can do. What I do use this guy for is everything else I mentioned. The blending, the burnishing, softening edges, and just brightening up the colors. Let me show you the magic that is a colorless blender. So here is my violet, and I'm just going to do the same kind of swatch and go to light pressure.
Is that with the Premier?
Yep, this is Prismacolor Premier. You can use the Prismacolor Premier Colorless blender with any line. I've used it with polychromos, I've used them with Crazy Art and Crayola and all of them. This little guy will work with everybody. He's amazing. So let's show you now what happens when I go over this. You can see what's happening because I'm doing kind of medium to heavy pressure as it's pushing the pigment down into any tooth and texture that is there, and it softens it, it blends it. So if you have two colors you're bringing together, this can help. This little tool is so good. Everyone needs this. Different brands have colorless blenders, and I've tried different brands. In fact, I think we have a video from way back when we compared them. There was only one other brand, and it was the Caran d'Ache. Let me show you it. This was the only one that came close to performing as well as what you just saw, and it's this stick right here. It's a full blender stick. So not the pencil, but this white, weird-looking stick. And it blends really good too, but it's more money and harder to get your hands on that guy. So this is the one I recommend. You can buy these in bulk. This is the one that we bought for the giveaway right here. You can see the new packaging that they're doing, and it talks all about the different things you can do with it. I highly recommend you get several of them. Keep them everywhere. They're amazing. So as we look over all 6 pencils, these. We need to talk about the colors and how they look and the packaging, and I want to talk about what I recommend for you as you're collecting these. So let's look at color first. What do we think of the violets and the oranges from line to line? Do they match well? Are they way off? What's your impression? Comment below. Do you think, how did they do? What do you think, Steve? You're my color guru.
I think they did pretty good.
This one is a little washed out.
You can see, that one and the Col-Erase.
Yeah.
But on the left, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
You see slight differences, but...
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised. And what I'll do is I'll have Steve take a picture of this chart and put it on that blog I mentioned earlier. So if you want to look closer and look at all the details that I've written down, you can do so. Now, one place that I think Prismacolor is really dropping the ball is with their packaging. It's a different type of packaging for almost every line. I'm glad they're starting to make the packages themselves look a little more cohesive, but I wish they were more like Derwent. Derwent has like a tin for every set you get, and they're decent tins. I've had problems with Derwent tins, but I'd rather have a problematic tin than that terrible plastic that scares Rose and gives me plastic paper cuts. So I wish they would do better with their packaging. That's one criticism. Now, what do I recommend for you if you decide you want to collect? Who are these for? First off, I think everyone who colors with color pencils needs the colorless blender, the Prismacolor Premier Colorless Blender. So pick at least one of those up and give it a try. Second, if you have a small budget and you just want to crack into the Prismacolor world, I'm really excited to say that I highly recommend the Prismacolor Scholar pencils. We're going to be coming out with a few more resources coming soon to help you with Prismacolor, and I think I'm going to do some specific help for you with the Scholar pencils in case that's the set you end up purchasing. Now, the Prismacolor Premier, if you get into coloring and you're loving color pencils and you want to have a very unique, very vibrant, fun, blendy, creamy experience, you've got to buy at least a small set of the Prismacolor Premier and give them a try. They are still my favorite, even though they have their issues. They're hard to sharpen, but once you get the trick of how to sharpen pencils, which I've shown on here many times, then it's not going to be a problem. Just take good care of them. So I highly recommend the Prismacolor Premier, especially at the prices that you can get them at. You can watch for deals on like Amazon and watch for them to drop way below $100. At least that's what they've done in the past. Right now, that's $112 on both Amazon and Dick Blick here in the US. I know that Prismacolor is hard to get in some parts of the world, but if you can get your hands on them, I highly recommend them. Now, the Verithin and the Col-Erase, they are very specific for a very specific job. They won't be good for coloring in a coloring book because the Verithin are too thin. You're going to be frustrated. They don't lay down enough creamy color. They're very specialized. They are meant for fine details, beautiful crisp lines. If that's what you need, the Verithins are for you. The Col-Erase, again, the colors aren't punchy enough and satisfying enough. I would rather see you spend that 54 cents a pencil up here on the Prismacolor Scholar. But if you are doing like I do and you need to collect them all, then yeah, they have a purpose and you can use them in very interesting ways because of their erasability. Now, the Prismacolor Watercolor, that's probably the last set I would have you buy. I would rather see you invest in the Albrecht Dürer over in Faber-Castell. But again, if you're like me and you need to collect them all and have them all so you can play with them all as a group, then yeah, they're a good deal. You get a nice tin, you can use, they last a long time. You don't use them up very quickly, so they're a good value even though they are the most expensive on here. So that is my feelings on all 6 sets. All right, so if you want to experience all these pencils, that's basically what one of you will get for that huge, massive giveaway that we started today. So make sure you get into the links here in the video description, follow them, get your entries in, and at least come on over to Coloring Bliss and become a free member so that you can get all of the cool swatch charts and the emails as we come out with more Prismacolor resources for you. Yes, that's right. Steve and I are working on even more resources. Yay! Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed learning about the whole Prismacolor world. It's been really fun for me to compare and learn about this product that I adore. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye, everyone.